Right. So the software we'll be using is called the Unreal Engine. It's made by Epic Games, a guy named Tim Sweeney. And Epic Games makes another thing you might have heard of called Fortnite. I'm level 90 in the Save the World if you guys want to team up. So it's research. It's research. It's the engine I use. So it's a little company of 300 people out of Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina. And they're using the Fortnite money to buy up land to keep it from being developed. They're buying up like mountain, Appalachian mountain like terrain stuff. Anyway, it was invented in 98, 99 to make a game called Unreal Tournament, which is a first-person shooter you could play online, multiplayer, chase each other around stuff. It became so popular, people wanted to play more than just the maps that were there. So they started modding it and making custom maps. They enjoyed the engine so much, they started making games that weren't even part of Unreal, and then it became what's called a AAA gaming engine. So this is something that services 200 to 200 teams of 200 at a time, right? You can all be inside the engine, sharing files, locking them, merging them, all that kind of stuff. And this is what a AAA gaming engine is. Whereas Unity is called an indie development platform. It's made for smaller teams, right? This is and then things like Gears of War and all these giant shooting games were made in it. And then in 2015. It was something that was like cost prohibitive. People were like trying to hack it and try to like torrent it and stuff like that because it was super expensive. And then Unreal said, screw it, and they went completely free in 2015. I actually had already bought a license for it because I was doing a project with it, and they refunded my money back to me and then gave me credits inside the marketplace as well to get free stuff. The rule is if you make a game, after you make over a certain amount, like 80,000, then you owe them a percentage, right? If you're making art, it's free always, right? So don't keep score. That's all. Just don't keep score. So Epic Games makes Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine 4 is what we'll be using. You just say get Epic Games, and it downloads this launcher, Mac, Windows, whatever, right? And this is the Epic Games launcher. All right, if I open up, it's this. One thing that, I don't know if you guys have heard of Steam. It's called Electronic Sell-Through Platform, where you can buy a piece of software. You can download their software and then download games through it. Unreal just started doing that as of like 2 weeks ago, and it's, again, competing with Steam and giving even more money back to the I think Steam takes 30% of all the money, and Unreal's taking 12% of the money. So it's and they're giving away a free game every week. Last week was a game called What Remains of Edith Finch, which was the game of the year last year. Anyway, so it's not only can you download games through it and play other stuff, there's a store, and you have a library full of stuff and your friends, but it also is the engine which we'll be using, okay? So the Unreal Engine we're at Engine 4, and there's different versions every quarter, so 4 times a year, they come up with a new version of Engine 4. Right now we're at Engine 4.21. You see that over there. We always stay. I'm as an engineer, I'm a pessimist. I always stay one engine version behind in case something breaks. Right. I want to make sure that we use plugins and we use other things. I want to make sure that everything is propagated forward, and you can't really downgrade. It's easier to upgrade than just to downgrade. So we'll be using 4.20 in this class until I say it's okay to move up. So just keep that in mind as you start exploring with the engine. Right? So come back. So we have the Unreal Engine right here. This is like all the announcements and that kind of stuff. Where you guys should go first is this Learn tab. And this is going to give you entire projects and games that you can download and break apart and reverse engineer. Right? I recommend that you should definitely filter through these things. Right? There's a face tracking AR sample. There's some really lifelike human beings. You can look at how they make them. The most important one for you guys is this content examples. Everyone should download the content examples to your computer. It's basically the dictionary of everything Unreal. Everything you can do is here, and I'll open it up actually, is here for you to take apart. Like I've gone searching on the forums for something and spent weeks asking people where, and then I was like, oh, it's here the whole time. Ask me and go here first. These are the 2 places to go. And I'll say, if you ask me, I'll say go there, because this is our encyclopedia of everything Unreal, and it's all laid out in these really hilarious kiosks for you to take a look at. So that's the Learn tab, content examples. Marketplaces where you can purchase assets, right? Some things are, every week again, there's some free things you can download. So we don't have to worry about the whole part of this class I didn't really talk about, which is modeling and texturing. And there's code you can download, and there's particles you can download. So you don't have to make everything from scratch. We can, we're learning. We can, sometimes it's harder to do this because you don't own it, right? You didn't make it, so you don't know how it does what it does. So sometimes these things get in the way, but sometimes they can be super helpful. So there's this stuff, and there is a lot of free stuff. There's a whole category of free, and again, my library, and then there's my projects I can open up, and I'm going to see if I have a content examples. I do for 420, so that takes a little while to open up. I'll keep it in the background. And then down here is everything that I've ever purchased in the asset store. Right, here's all these different things that for the marketplace. There's probably like $3,000 for the stuff here. I'm going to give you guys my login so you can use my stuff first, so you don't have to, you can see if I have it first, right, before you buy it yourself. So there's random stuff that I didn't pay for it. It's like clients paid for it, and the savings are extended onto you. You just need my login, and if you remember that syllabus, here's my login right here, right? Just use, and so what's going to do is going to do a two-factor authentication. Just tell me you're going to download something, and then I'll send you the email that has the 6-digit code, so you can log in. Try not to, my credit card's in there, so try not to purchase anything. It's happened before, but that's it goes to you guys. The savings are extended onto you. So anyway, content examples is loading up. Unreal Engine is it is computationally expensive. I do teach from a MacBook Pro from 2012, like constantly. So but I bought this ugly beast right here to do Unreal, to do VR, right? This wasn't expensive. This is a $1,600 computer. That's not expensive as it comes to like these, like you have a Predator, right? Those can get super expensive, right? They can be easily $3,000, $4,000 with like really great graphics cards. So again, for me, I definitely tried to get as much free stuff as I possibly could, and I'm definitely telling you guys to leverage the equipment that we already have. But if you are interested in doing computer graphics for a living, this cost is a nominal fee for owning your own equipment and being able to do whatever you need to do whenever you need to do it. If you have a good MacBook Pro, you're completely fine as well. It doesn't have to be a PC. But for doing VR, it does have to be a PC as of right now, unless you want to buy an expensive external GPU enclosure, and it really just gets super expensive. Again, you're welcome to use this stuff, but for me, this is on my back. If it's not in front of me, it's on my back, and it doesn't leave me because I use it all the time. This is how I make my money. So it's I could get a much more expensive one. This is an off-brand thing that's completely modular, and I've taken it apart and put it back together constantly. Anyway, so you will learn how to finesse computers like that. So here's the Unreal Engine. Okay, it's a really beautiful layout, and it's there's a whole link that I have for people who are familiar with Unity. It's the Unity to Unreal kind of translation guide. What is a game object in Unity is a actor blueprint in Unreal. So if you are familiar with Unity and you want to like see what the translation is, or what is the the viewport in Unity is here, the viewport in Unreal is over here, there's a link in the syllabus that helps you do that, make that transition from Unity. But in general, as you kind of see, the viewport's in the center, the play button's at the top, all the assets are at the bottom, everything on my scene is on the right, right? So here's this Unreal logo. When I click on it, I see a arrow, and then it highlights an object that's in this thing called the outliner, and that's the thing in my world. And then here's all the details about it, where it lives inside the space, how it's rotated, and what its scale is. That's called a transform: position, scale, and rotation. Okay, and it has other things like, it is a mesh that has a texture that can have physics or not have physics. So there's a lot of things here, but it's all given to you, right? It's not, you don't have to program this stuff, it's already there. If you're doing this in like, raw C++, you'd have to give it each of these properties and then give it a default value. Here they're already like assigned for you, and you're good to go. And so from here I can move things around, right? And here's the moving around, the rotating around, and the scaling things around. So we're not going to really get into this too much this week. Next week I'll go into more detail, but we'll start like throwing things in and making it move, and we'll build worlds, we'll build environments, okay? But And then their navigation, I highly recommend getting a mouse. It's not going to be fun from a trackpad. You can get a mouse for $3 from Amazon. Like, definitely get a mouse. Don't do Wacom tablets. I don't want to deal with that. Just do a mouse. It's so much easier for a lot of different software. All 3D software you want to use a mouse for. Anytime you're doing anything with digital asset creation or digital content creation tools, what's called DCCs, like Maya and Cinema 4D and Blender, you have to use a mouse. So I just keep it on your backpack at all times. So I'm just like right-clicking around, and it's rotating. And then who's played a first-person shooter before? That's good. So how do you move forward, strafe left and right, and move backwards? WASD. This is WASD. You're just first-person shootering around inside this game. So you can use your arrow keys too if you're more comfortable with that, because those work as well. But yeah, I can just navigate really quickly because I've been playing first-person shooters since they were invented. Yeah, I was playing Wolfenstein. Yeah, and Doom and Quake and whatever. So this is our content examples, and it says what to do. See all these little kiosks? It's really, really sterile. I love it. It's hilarious. Let's move this out of the way. It says this project is a collection of all the things we can do inside of Unreal, and feel free to deconstruct or break it apart. You can always re-download it or make copies of it or whatever, and then you could steal all the stuff and send it to your project too. All these things are assets that you're completely free. Creative Commons, you have free rights to use as well. So we want to see different examples of different things we can do. Right? I'm not even hitting play. I'm just like looking at it in the raw thing. Like here's some lights. Right? It looks like a light. That's called it's just a representation of a light. There we are. And let's go ahead and hit the play button. This is called a player start. You see how it says default player start? When I hit play, that's where I'll be. I'm going to move it back over here. And as I said, the play button is at the top. I'm going to say play inside this viewport. And now you see that I can't see those little buttons for the lights and stuff because I'm actually rendering it now. I've compiled and I'm rendering, and it's doing the stuff. Cool. We have buttons we can hit, right? Oop, interactivity. We can break it apart, see how they made it. Right? So all this stuff is already there for you. And it explains how to use it. Shift actually makes it go faster. That's great. And I'm going to hit escape. And now I'm out. Right? So what I did was I hit play. Sometimes you see it says click for mouse control. I have to click in here so the mouse does stuff. Now I don't have my mouse, but it says hit Shift F1, and I have my mouse again. So if it takes your mouse away, Shift F1 gets your mouse back. If you want to like do some stuff while you're messing around, and then to control it, you click back in. All right? I hit escape now, and let's go up here to File and say Open Level. And here's all the different categories of stuff we can do. We can look at how animation's done, how audio's done. Blueprints are the way we do our scripting language in here. The node-based scripting language has all sorts of blueprints you can deconstruct and start with templates, right? It shows you how to make landscapes. It shows you how to do special effects. It shows you how to do lighting. It shows you how to do materials and stuff. So let's go look at, I don't know, I've never, this is a particle system level. So if you have, if you don't have 4 megabytes of RAM on your computer, 4 gigabytes, megabytes, gigabytes, you don't have over 4, I think you can't install Unreal Engine, right? So I think MacBook Airs can't do it. But if you do have a MacBook Pro, any other Windows computer, you could definitely run Unreal. And if you want to, if it's running a little slow, you could just go over to your settings and just say scale the engine down. Just go to low quality. And the lighting won't look as good. It'll be a little more pixelated, but then you can run it from more of a baseline computer. So this is a way for you guys to make it easier for you to use on other computers that aren't as beefy, as we say. So here's particles. Right, it looks a little more blocky now. So these are just how you do different kind of little particle systems.
Is there a minimum graphic requirements?
I think it just doesn't allow you to use integrated graphics cards. You have to have a dedicated graphics card. but that's all MacBook Pros do that. Yeah. I haven't seen this. These particles are pretty. I haven't seen these. Right? And what's cool about these things, if you just like right click on them, and then say show me where it is, browse to asset, I can then steal it and like migrate it to my own project. Right? I can say I steal it and then just give it to my other project and tell you where your other project is. So it's always fun to start off here. And in fact, our first few assignments will be limited. I will say only use things that are already in the content examples, so that sometimes it's good to add limitations, to add constraints, because it amplifies your creativity. How do I get around these constraints, right? Besides that, to start from scratch level, we can say new level, and then it gives you some templates to choose from, and we can start adding in things. So if I did like a default level, it has, it has like a sky there and whatever. And then here's some simple things we can start from the side and just like, got cubes and spheres, right, and cylinders, and really, really simple stuff, right? It gives you some things. These are part of the engine. That's why the engine is a large file size, because it has a lot of stuff that's already included inside of it. And then, we have a lot of things to play with. So that's the Unreal Engine, okay? I want to show you Oculus and Steam Store, and make sure you guys have make accounts for that. Again, you guys are welcome to sign up under my name. It's the same username and password, and then you can use the experiences that I paid for, so just let me know if you want to do that stuff. So we're going to be doing Oculus. So Oculus is made by Facebook, or it was acquired by Facebook. It is probably stealing your data. And the Oculus Rift now costs $300. It's not that bad at all. This one says $350, but you can buy it at Best Buy for $300. So it was $600 or $650 when I started a few years ago. And then it has its own launcher. So you download their software. So Oculus server, and then this is already inside of the on the computers that are inside the black box, but you can download and install it on your computers if you have a PC. I think it's the bottom, like download. Anyway, but I already have it. Oculus. So the one thing that I want to show you guys before we break for today is I want to show you how to set up a headset. I know that it might be rudimentary for people who've already done it, but I think that we all need to be at the same place, at the same playing field, and that's why I have the headset here, and to show you the process of calibration and best practices for how to use it and how to feel comfortable with it. Again, I'll be around a lot, so I'll help you, and I'll have it set up for you guys on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. But we should go ahead and make sure that we're comfortable with hardware. Okay, so the Oculus, as a minimum, can be just a headset. Here's the Oculus, and one sensor. Okay, the sensor has a shiny side, and that's the side that the I don't need to screen record this part.